We take a look at 3 position battles in fall camp that is going to determine the success of Ole Miss's football season. Plus, Ole Miss got a new commitment. It just seems like it happens every day. Stick around. We'll tell you all about it, and we'll show our work. All right, thanks again for making the Locked On Ole Miss podcast your first listen every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And thank you to my everydayers who won't listen to the show every single day. We do this for you. Thank you very much for that. So let's talk a little bit. By the way, hi, I'm Stephen Willis with the Locked On Ole Miss podcast. Let's talk a little bit about some positional battles that could be major in the coming weeks and months and the things that we're going to pay attention to. And we're going to start with Jackson Dart versus Spencer Sanders. I know, low-hanging fruit, but we're going to start there. And I wanted to point out the simple thing. I've harped on this, and my everydayers can attest to that. I've harped on this over and over and over again for pretty much the last 6 months. Okay? Now, I'm just going to put them side by side so you can see the hole that we're trying to develop in Jackson Dart's game. Now, I think Jackson Dart is going to win this job at this point. Now, in the fall camp, that could change. I always put my opinions and takes subject to change. It's not a situation where I say something and I mean it forever. But right now, I do think Jackson Dart is going to win this job. But this competition will be big because if this problem that's in Jackson Dart's game does not get corrected at some level, or they figure out a way to mask it in another way, it's going to open the door for Spencer Sanders, and I'll explain that and why. First of all, let's look at Jackson Dart's zones. Here you go. If you look outside the numbers and under 10 yards and behind the line of scrimmage, absolutely top shelf quarterback. But the 2 top boxes between the numbers, 10 of 33, 446 yards, 2 touchdowns and an interception. And in the middle box, 27 of 56, 510 yards, 3 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. NFL passer ratings around 60 in both of those. Now, if you look at his other numbers, it is a top area SEC number, period. Yeah, I mean, you could put him in an NFL system and he would be fine. He is excellent outside the numbers. He's excellent at the line of scrimmage. He's got those 2 little holes in his game that he needs to develop. And this isn't a problem with him as a quarterback. This is something just that he needs to develop. And as he develops it, it will be fine. Now, I'm going to show you Spencer Sanders' zones so we can compare them a little bit. Not much better. In fact, the deep throws, definitely worse than Jackson Dart. So if you're looking for home runs, you're going to take Jackson Dart. He is better in that middle zone, okay? So we would talk at Caden Priestcorn got committed to Ole Miss for a reason of masking that hole. We talked about that yesterday. Trey Harris brought in. Zachary Franklin brought in, all of which do very well in that middle square in the tic-tac-toe board. If not, if it doesn't get any better, if the offense stays the same as it did last year, to where yardage-wise they do pretty well, but their points are down, they're getting about 30 points a game as opposed to 38 or 40. If something like that happens, the one thing that you need to look for from Spencer Sanders, the passing game isn't quite there. It just isn't. If there's a passing contest, Jackson Dart's going to win 10 times out of 10. But when you look at them on the ground and when you realize that Ole Miss has the number 1 running back in college football, weapons on the outside that Spencer Sanders can be effective using, you can see where Spencer Sanders might be able to creak in. So this job, in my opinion, will come down to whether Jackson Dart can mask these holes better than he did last year. If he can do that, he's going to win the job, piece of cake. If not, Spencer Sanders probably has a chance to be fairly special.